In row 3 on the inside, Pennsylvania's Freddie Raymer, and outside him, Ohio's Dave Blaney. Johnny Herrera and Joe Gertie occupy the 4th row.
In the 5th row, California Steve Kent outside Randy Hannigan. Row 6, Bobby Markham and Sparky Howard.
In the 7th row, 13th and 14th spot, Blake Robertson and Marlon Jones, then Chris Eichert and Calvin Landis.
And then the 32 of Lance Blevins. He's only 16 years old. 59 is Brant Anthill. In row 10 on the inside, 23 of Doug Coletta, and outside him, the 78 of Wayne Johnson.
Coming in the back, row 11, Dion Hendy, Jim Starr, got Sidney Blandford in row 12 alongside Mike English.
We've had the largest field to date trying to qualify for the championship race later this afternoon. You're looking at the number 45 car of Johnny Herrera, who almost won the main event 1 week ago when he was taken out, unfortunately, by a lap car. He will be carrying one of the 2 in-car cameras, onboard cameras sponsored by Kendall GT1 Turbo. 1 in-car in this heat. That's Johnny Herrera. We, of course, will have another one for you in qualifying race number 2. Johnny Herrera has had a good series here in the desert. You can see he's 27 years of age. He's from the Hunter hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico, driving the Herrera Motors machine. It's a Chevy Westmar engine. We're going green this time around. The top 12 drivers will move on to this afternoon's championship main event. Into corner number 1, taking off from the outside is the number 52 car of Mark Swindell. Yeah, Mark Swindell, Mark Kinzer.
Yeah, Mark Kinzer has absolutely taken off from this field. He has finished 22nd the last 2 weeks in a row and seems intent on just disappearing. Jeff Swindell in the number 7 running well.
Blaney and Stevie Smith having a heck of a race back here.
Now that race is for 4th position.
The number 44 car, Sparky Howard, as we were watching the drivers up front, the yellow flag is out, had slipped off of the track. We're
going green.
Getting ready to go green one more time. Mark Kinzer carefully brings the field around out of the number 4 corner, hugs the bottom, protects his position, and streaks back up to the cushion right away. Now there's Dave Blaney, the fastest qualifier in the vibrant blue and yellow number 10, the Casey Luna car, another of the Albuquerque, New Mexico clan that runs the sprint car racing. Blaney, with his great qualifying run this weekend, last night under the lights, would really like to finish as high up as he possibly can.
Yeah, but Stevie Smith in that 77 is the one who's flying. We've had a spin in turn number 2, so there's a caution flag on the racetrack.
Greg Hodnett. Greg Hodnett, one of the 3 team cars of Tom Wimmer, currently in 7th position, trying to finish as high up as he possibly can, because as this track dries out from the sun, the higher you start for the main event, the better off you are.
Jeff Swindell just hit the wall with a right rear tire coming down for the green flag, and he hit it a good one. Stevie Smith now in that 77 trying to get underneath him.
Well, that was crowded, wasn't it? They were both squeezed down there and fighting for that spot. Here comes
Blaney goes to the inside, and Blaney moves momentarily into the runner-up position.
3 wide, 4 wide for 2nd position.
That's Freddie Raymer, Pennsylvania's Freddie Raymer, also sneaking his nose up there. And Steve Kent out of Washington State follows right behind this field, although he's right now not competing for the runner-up position.
As you can see what happened there, they're all fighting for the bottom, and a couple of those guys slid off and let Blaney roll right around the bottom in the moisture. Right there you can see it. Blaney's down there again. It's pretty wet. He got a good fight getting off the corner.
And don't forget, Blaney's got to win this race if he's going to have a chance at the Skins game this week.
He looks pretty good to me right now. Jeff.
Yeah, well, Jeff Swindell didn't think he looked too good. Just blew by him on the bottom, but here comes Blaney back by Jeff again.
Jeff went in so hard, he missed the bottom and slid out and let Blaney get back around him on the bottom.
It continues to be Mark Kinzer. He is now beginning to approach slower traffic. The leader is getting ready to really mix it up with rush hour traffic. Stevie Smith is 2nd. Running 3rd is Freddie Raymer. 4th is Dave Blaney. 5th is Jeff Swindell. 6th is Steve Kent. 7th is Johnny Herrera. 8th is Joe Gertie. And in 9th position, in number 82, is Arizona's Bobby Markham.
Yeah, and Mark Kinzer is deep in traffic right now. Brent Anthill on the right of your screen, that number 59. He's up high. Kinzer's trying to stay on the bottom if he can.
Mark's doing a great job getting through traffic so far. He's really looking well at anywhere he wants to run, it looks like.
Now, those of you at home may call that a chartreuse at number 41 on the top. Look at Mark thread the needle. That's Dion Hendy. We're told, by the way, that's Indy yellow, not chartreuse on that car. Mark Kinzer now looking above Sid Blandford. Mark Kinzer really making his way very effectively through the slower traffic.
And he is leaving rest of the field behind him.
Right now in second place, it continues to be Fred Raymer. He just caught Stevie Smith Jr. in traffic. Smith is third, fourth is Blaney, fifth is Jeff Swindell, as the field really gets scrambled as the leaders have suddenly caught the tail enders, and the field is now encircling almost the entire racetrack.
Raymer running way up high has done a great job to capture that second spot. He's got several lap cars between himself and third position, who is Stevie Smith in the number 77.
Boy, with him sliding up there high, look at that Stevie close right in on him. Goes underneath of him. Can he make it stick?
Yeah, no sooner did I say that, here came Stevie Smith. Look at this on the bottom, and he is trying to take Raymer. Two Pennsylvania drivers, and on the right, you just saw a quick glimpse of Dave Blaney in that number 10 car.
We have 5 laps to go. Unofficially in 10th position is the number 91 of Randy Hennigan, and in 11th is 32 Lance Levens. Again, those are all unofficial. We'll have to check with official scoring, of course, to find out who fits in there.
Great race between the 77 of Stevie Smith and the number 21 of Raymer.
Somebody just blew a tire or
They
something
sure
like
did.
in the rest.
Inside, Johnny Herrera again, who runs in 7th position. Johnny Herrera has not been able to move. Greg Hodnett, who had qualified so well and started in the first 3 rows in this race, has come to a stop on the front straightaway. Greg Hodnett.
It was his left rear tire that blew. That's what I saw fly on the back straightaway, and I don't know if it must have gotten cut down, because there's no way they're wearing through the tires the way the racetrack is.
We are within 5 laps of the finish of this one, and for Mark Kinzer, what a break. He was doing well working his way through traffic, but it appeared as though, Dick, he was never going to get out of traffic. First serious restart. Now watch Jeff, second place, black car. He swings out and he kisses the wall. No, it was more than a kiss. That was a real smack.
And he was lucky, because had he caught the wall with the right front, he would have gone end over end and right in front of everybody.
What it looks like to me is happening there, everybody has to stay tight coming out of turn 4 to get a good bite, and then they have to turn and go out around the cone. You know, as most people know, you cannot touch the cone. As he drove out around the cone, he got into the black and the rear end got loose, and he just banged.
8th is Johnny Herrera, 9th is Bobby Markham, and 20th, or make that 10th, is Lance Levens. And Kinzer once again gets a tremendous jump as he accelerates away from the field. All the other leaders were caught in heavy traffic. Sid Blanford Jr. getting a little bit out of shape coming down the front stretch, but saves it. There in the Budmobile is Freddie Raymer. The white flag is coming up this time around for Mark Kinzer, the Oolitic, Indiana driver. Looks like he's headed for victory in the first qualifying race. Mark has finished second in the main race on 2 occasions so far in the 1993-94 season, but has never won one of these main events. Stevie Smith is going to come home second. Fred Raymer is third. Fourth is Blaney, and fifth is Jeff Swindell. And we'll try and get the remaining rundown for you as soon as we get it from timing and scoring. So Mark Kinzer picks up the first checkered flag.
News, but you know, this car, this working car, has been without a doubt the most consistent car we've had here at Canyon Raceway. But today, Mark Kinzer, you were flying. You were running 2 different lines, more of a diamond effect in 1 and 2, and then on the bottom in 3 and 4. How come?
Well, a lot of times when you come up to the lap cars, they're running a full circle, so you got to kind of make a diamond in 1 and 2. That seems to work out pretty nice for me. The car's set up right now, you know, the working people's here, and I'm really, right now, we're 100% satisfied.
You also seem to get tremendous jumps. Did you do something to the bottom end of the motor?
Well, actually, we changed the motor. Our motor's, I wouldn't really say that it was weak by no means, but we thought that maybe we had a little bit more horsepower with this motor. The crew changed it today. They've done a real nice job the whole series, and everything so far has worked real nice.
They've already started working on the car, Larry. In fact, they've just changed some shocks in the rear end. They'll be getting ready to change some tires, put some fuel in, and head back out.
All right, thanks, Ralph. These drivers have 12 minutes as the same amount of time that the drivers after this qualifying race will have. It's Kinzer, Stevie Smith comes home second, Freddie Raymer challenging third, Dave Blaney, fast qualifier, finishes fourth, followed by Jeff Swindell and Joe Gertie. The first 6, remember here, the 12 that move on to the main event. Steve Kent out of Washington, Johnny Herrera, the star of a week ago, Bobby Markham makes the short tow, worth the while, Chris Eichert, Wilcox and Billy Turner, followed by Rich Buback and Gary Lee Meyer.
And in row number 9, Bo Baker and Jeff Schrum. Row 10, Hannestead and Alan Munn.
Row 11, Bob Kinzer, Craig Delansky, Steve Ballinger, and Robert Walker.
Jeff Shepard, a sprint car driver from the Baltimore, Maryland area, will be carrying one of the in-car cameras in this race. Jeff Shepard almost won a World of Outlaw race at Terre Haute, Indiana last year. It was a flat tire that sidelined him. He appeared to have a hot setup. There you see him right now coasting around on the inside of row number 2. You're looking up the tailpipes of California's Brett Kading, one of the most exciting open-wheel drivers in the United States of America. Keith Kaufman is on the outside. That is Guy Forbrooks, number 5, that Danny Lasowski has been in for most of the last 3 seasons. Recent driver change. We are anticipating green flag this time around. The drivers are anxious. They've been waiting for you for about 5 minutes. Green flag up this time. Kading gets a bit of an edge. The green flag flickers. Steve Kinzer darts to the high side.
Kading a good run off the second corner. He's got the lead. This was his best start so far. Sammy Swindell in that white number 1 running down low, and we have a caution flag.
Marty Wilcox.
That's that orange card. Oh, lost the right front wheel. You notice it's number 30 on the wing on the right side. If we get a shot of the left side, you'll see it's number 3. And on the tail, it says number 3. The deal is you're supposed to find racer. Before this series began, he came in a week early, and he lapped all but the third-place car. Week 4, he was quick time. He drove a dwarf car, won the feature. He has done a terrific job. This is the fastest this car has gone out of all 6 drivers who have run it. The bottom line, Lasowski, believe it or not, does not have a ride for 1994. And here's looking. You got a good race team. We just found you a good driver.
Well, here's a man who has probably won, Brad, I would guess, outside of maybe Steve Kinzer, more sprint car races, and maybe more than Steve, than any other driver in the country the past 2 seasons, Danny Lasowski. Let's take another look at what happened to Marty Wilcox. Remember, it's a bright orange car. There he is getting side of. He's already made contact with someone because the car is already broken before he gets to the inside.
What it looks like is when he made contact, it broke a radius rod and it flopped the axle over center. That's why the wheels were flopped over like that. The axle was actually loose in the car, and he had no control to steer it.
Marty, with 20 career sprint car wins, is from nearby Phoenix, Arizona. He didn't have so far to come. And again, we have not completed 1 official lap on this, the second of 2 qualifying races for the main event. That is Brett Kading bringing the field around. Keith Kaufman will try and get a better start this time. Kaufman hits the dime just a little better, but Kading once again jumps out in front. Kaufman will try to do the crossover, go to the inside, but no, he jumps up with a cushion. There was a quick glimpse of Sammy Swindell, who squirts through the center of the field, and that bright red silver numeral number 1 down on the bottom right behind Swindell is the double K of Keith Kaufman. Kaufman almost goes to the infield to get around Swindell, and Steve Kinzer goes high.
Everybody's fighting for the bottom down there, bumper to bumper, and Steve Kinzer goes to the top and drives by.
Look at Kaufman. Kaufman eclipses Sammy Swindell, and Keith Kaufman is making Guy Forbrooks smile, but it's only momentarily. There is Jeff Shepard in number 2. Jeff Shepard, who is currently running in the
6th spot.
8th position. No, he's back further at 8th. There he is, yeah.
And Kading virtually lost fire. You see his car on the bottom of your screen, that number 83. Steve Kinzer going by, and he got low. We've got a caution flag spin in turn 4.
In corner number 4. Jeff Shepard was running in 6th position. And that car sitting on the inside of number 4, we believe to be Rocky Hodges.
Yeah, it is. Rocky Hodges.
Pontiac 1-2 finishes.
Big
Trouble
crash,
in corner number 2.
turn 2.
Can't really tell from here. Now there we go. 89.
Number 89 of Rich Buback, the man from Mile High City, and the number 20
of Bo Baker.
Of Bo Baker is the other driver involved. Apparently Swindell. 4th is the runner-out of the week, Danny Lasowski, and in 5th is Randy Trainer. The guy who's made the biggest move is Gary Lee Meyer. He is 8th in the red number 66 after starting way back on the outside of the 8th row.
Steve Kinzer is actually taking off. This is the race for 2nd.
That is Sammy Swindell on the left, Brett Kading on the right. That's your right, your left. Kading saw Swindell up under the cushion, so he goes to the cushion up at number 1 and 2. Swindell is trying to find the key to the lock around Brett Kading. Now Kading goes back to the bottom, down to number 3 and 4. He obviously thinks there's a little more moisture down there than on the low side of number 1. He forces Swindell to change lanes, and Kading is able to hold back the Memphis, Tennessee star.
These guys are pulling the wing valve, getting the wing slid back, trying to get a hold of everything they can on the racetrack. Sammy's up there, got his momentum going for him. Maybe he'll get around there.
Kading is really doing an excellent job because he has his hands full. Swindell appears to be quicker than Kading, but Brent is picking just the exact line to hold back Sammy Swindell.
Right there you can see Brent gets his right rear in that moisture coming off of turn 4 and gets a good bite, gets a good drive off the corner.
Ralph Shaheen is watching what's going on from the pit area. Ralph.
Larry, I talked to his crew chief, Mark Zellwasser, and he said BK radioed in and told him it is an extremely loose race car, and you can watch him as he bounces his way through turns 1 and 2. He is really fighting the steering wheel of that number 83.
BK being Brent Kading, but he's doing an excellent job, Ralph, as he is still holding back Swindell. And we've got a spin right in the middle of corner number 2. It's Craig Delansky, but he does a 360, keeps going, and he's back out onto the track, requiring no yellow.
Boy, he did that right in front of Steve Kinzer, our leader, too.
Swindell may, no, not quite.
Danny Lasowski
He gives Lasowski the edge of the high side.
3 wide for second position. This is as good sprint car racing as you're going to see.
And Lasowski does come out on top on this one now as he moves around Sammy Swindell, trying to hold on. He also gets to the high side of Kading. Kading is back in the bottom. He's momentarily caught in slower traffic, and Swindell cuts him off.
42 Mun is a lapped car.
What a race.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, I was talking to Danny and Keith Kaufman. Kaufman came from a reverse arm car to what we call a standard race car that Danny got out of. Danny's back in a reverse arm car, and everybody's having to adjust to this thing. And right now, they've got that car working well, the 47.
And up ahead of all this, Steve Kinzer is in traffic and almost lost it a moment ago. He tangled with a lapped car.
Let Lasowski close a little bit on him, didn't it?
Steve Kinzer, who started on the front row of this race, continues to dominate.
Look at
That
this.
white car is Lasowski is closed on Steve Kinzer and is making a move on him.
He passed him, but Kinzer, oh boy, they made contact.
Lasowski is passed. Danny Lasowski gives the traditional and proverbial slide job to Steve Kinzer, and the dude is racing with a purpose.
Danny did a slide job, got up in front of him, and Steve drilled him pretty good in the back. It didn't mess either one of them up.
Lasowski really has the adrenaline going. He was removed from his ride in the past couple of seasons within the last week, and this is his first time in this car. And he not only passed his former car, but he just passed Steve Kinzer.
You can bet he's pumped up. You know, he doesn't have a ride for sure for next year. This is the first weekend in this car. He's running extremely well. He wants to win this thing badly.
Danny Lasowski, perhaps auditioning for a job for 1994, continues to lead the second qualifying race with 5 laps to go in this one.
Look at those front wheels moving back and forth. Lasowski, absolute total concentration on what he's doing.
And Lasowski opens up the field. Now there is Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell in heavy traffic. Kinzer continues to run the runner-up position, and third now is Sammy Swindell.
Good race right there. Number 37, Ryan Jameson. That's the purple car in the middle of that. He's in Knoxville. Oh, Brent Kading shows up on the bottom.
Brent comes back.
White flag. Look at this. Look at this for second spot.
Brent Kading has just sort of hung around the bottom all race long. The white flag is out. Danny Lasowski will be looking for checkered this time around. Here comes Lasowski quickly out of corner number 4, but he does not get the
Steve is second. Third is Sammy Swindell.
Fourth goes to Kading, and fifth goes to Randy Tyner, who just noses out the double K. Keith Kaufman
Danny doesn't
for
know the
sixth
race.
position.
I don't think Danny saw the checker.
Danny was not given the checker flag the first time he went
You're
around.
right.
He was so far ahead of the rest of the field, and the flagman was keeping his eyes on that battle for second as well as he should have, because it was a dangerous moment. He never gave Danny the checker.
Danny was in so much lap traffic. I think he lost track of where Danny was at for a moment.
Absolutely, Brad. So Lasowski wins by turning in an additional lap to everybody else, but Danny Lasowski turns in a great drive. He could be strong later today.
I got a little bit slow there at the end. Danny found a spot there coming off 4 before I did and drove by us and drove off.
Did you have any idea who was coming at you, or did you just think maybe you were that far ahead?
No, I knew he was coming at me. I got a little slow actually. We just had to make some changes. Hope we can get it fast again.
Steve Kinzer getting set for the main.
Well, Steve Kinzer and Carl Kinzer, they are the undisputed masters of making those subtle little changes that you have to do in the middle of a racing program to excel. Jeff Shepard, you see how the sun can just play havoc with a sprint car driver, particularly. Yellow flag is out.
Mark Kinzer spun.
It's Mark Kinzer who has spun in corner number 2, and Dave Blaney has slowed perceptibly on the high side of number 2. Don't know if he just saw the yellow flag before everybody else did. He appears to be back at full song again. That is at least as full as you can get.
The 47 is Danny Lasowski. Lasowski takes the bottom line. Mark Kinzer just sort of bounces through the ruts and holes, and then he gets close to Lasowski, thinks better of it, gets out of it a little bit, and off he goes. It's very, very loose up high, and he just got caught in it. We'll get a look at it from a second angle.
Same thing, like Dick said, he got under. Danny put a slide jump right there. Mark bobbled a little bit, bounced. Had he not done that, I don't think Danny would have gotten by. Danny thought he had him cleared, slid up a little bit. Mark took an evasive move, got up in the dust, and...
Brad, is there a possibility too polite on Mark's behalf?
No, there really wasn't much he could do there. Danny, like I said, you know, when Mark bobbled, I'm sure Danny thought he had him cleared and moved up. Mark was in the position he really couldn't do much about it.
Jeff Shepard, Brent Kading, Randy Tyner, and Gary Lee Meyer were going back to green this time as the dude starts very carefully protecting his position down in the bottom of the racetrack. He jumps up to what cushion does remain. This track has a pretty good little bank on it. The track looks almost flat visually as you sit in the stands. When you walk out on it, it's got a bank that in certain areas of the grade, particularly down at the bottom, really is a bit reminiscent of Eldora, Brad.
Yeah, it is. It does. Oh, and Steve Kinzer bobbles. Slid off the
Steve is
racetrack.
right off the back of the racetrack. Catches up with it again.
And there is
Jeff Swindell goes
and
right.
Sammy Swindell and Steve Kinzer both take advantage of the loss of momentum. Gary Lee Meyer has spun in corner number 4. He's on the outside of the 4th corner. Meyer gets back onto the track right in front of the race leader, but Gary Lee Meyer really messes up a great race. He had moved inside the top 10.
And he came back on the track in front, or behind Danny Lasowski, in front of Stevie Smith, and Stevie got by him.
Jeff Shepard is running in 7th position right now. In front of him is Jeff Swindell in that number 7 car. Caution flag.
Mark Kinzer spins again. They got the 2-spin rule. Mark will be done. They have that 2-spin rule. If you bring out the yellow twice, you have to go to the pits.
Well, in the situation that Mark was in, he really had to let it all hang out if he wanted to have any chance at all at a good finish here this afternoon. He certainly could not be conservative, and he had to take those extra chances that a race car driver doesn't necessarily want to take, but he was back against the wall, Brad.
You're right, Larry. When you start back there, you have to make things happen. You can't wait for them to happen, and I don't really know what happened there, but he got turned around, and unfortunately, I believe he's done.
Cars up front, that happens to be Sammy Swindell in the middle, Steve Kinzer on the outside, and Jeff Swindell on the bottom. Now watch what happens here.
That's the sandwich, isn't it?
That's about as close as you can get.
Now watch what happens to Jeff after he gets by both of these drivers. He's got all the momentum, not a lot of moisture left in the track, and nothing to grab hold of.
Got up there in the dust and got loose.
And you see Steve Kinzer pick the nose of that car up. He has done that almost every time he's hit the straightaway for the last several weeks here.
Steve and Jeff in that point battle, we have to remember, so they're trying to make everything happen.
Very good point, Brad. And we only have 2 weeks, Dick, as you pointed out, only 2 weeks for people to come out to the races or watch the races. But for the drivers who want to do well in the series-long point standings, there are just 2 weeks. Now, again, it is the number 70 Shepard, Freddie Raymer, Brent Kading, Randy Tyner, and Terry McCarl, and then Joe Gertie. Those are the top 11 or 12 cars here about 1/3 of the way into this 30-lap main event.
Lasowski gets a good start as Blaney bounces through turn 1 and 2. Stevie Smith in that red 77 running in 2nd position. He's run very well, but right now a big challenge for Blaney on the bottom. Blaney makes it good.
And remember that Dave Blaney was the fast qualifier under the lights last night, and he has not won one of these main events. As a matter of fact, right now, the first 4 cars in this race have yet to pick up a checkered flag in the 1993-94 season.
We might have a new winner today. The track's starting to get a little rubber down in 3 and 4. They're starting to, but the cushion up in 1 and 2 is still there. They're leaning on that. But down here in 3 and 4, as you can see, it's gotten kind of black.
Joe Gertie has come to a stop on the high side of corner number 4. The car simply lost power. Gertie was inside of the top 12 when the car lost power as he was trying to maneuver through corners number 3 and 4. So once again, a brief pause in the action here, kind of resetting the field, but making it pretty easy to keep track of who's on top because the leaders had just begun to approach.
I know he was hoping for this, but if he can pull this off, it'll be a good day.
Well, the Speedway Motors point standings is what's up for grab as we go back to green flag. And Lasowski has had an opportunity to perhaps look over his shoulder and see who's behind him. Perhaps he is surprised that it is not the white number 1 of Sammy Swindell or the red, white, and blue number 11 of Steve Kinser, but it is Dave Blaney, and he is a formidable foe, particularly this weekend.
Sammy in that number 1 is moving very, very well. He has adjusted that car week after week. He says now he's got it much closer to where he ordinarily runs his own race car. This is the best we have seen Sammy Swindell run. He is in 3rd position right now, headed downstairs on Blaney, and probably looks like he's going to make it good.
Working right through the middle of the racetrack. They're starting to get rubber down. See how far back Blaney has his wing. He's getting looser and looser and pulling the wing back, trying to make it better. Sammy is going good right through the middle of the racetrack.
Even though the track is slickening up, you can see it becoming shiny. Brad and Dick, they're still using the whole racetrack. The track was very well prepared, and I think the top is beginning to go away, but you can see right there, Lasowski goes in, and we have a couple of cars that have come together in corner number 2.
Jeff Schrum and the 64 of
64 is Jason Lund making his first appearance here. He had a really good run in qualifying. He was the 16th quick time trialer in his very first appearance here. That's the car, the red car with the 64 on the wing. And the number,
you know, this is the racing up front. There is Dave Blaney in the yellow number 10, and there is Stevie Swindell diving down to the bottom to try and take over the run-up spot.
Yeah, you can see Dave got a little bit loose coming out down the front straightaway, about tagged the wall. I think his car's getting loose. Sammy found the middle of the racetrack and is really hooked up and going fast. I'm sure they've told Danny on the radio where Sammy's running, and he'll be looking for it.
Going green this time now, coming down to the final stages of this race, and boy, does the dude have his hands full now.
Lasowski took that green flag really low, and Sammy got him on the bottom.
Lasowski just powers into corner number 1, stays on the throttle, and comes out of the second turn with about 3 car lengths lead, but he is committed to the top.
If Danny bobbled at all there, Sammy would have got by him.
Almost guaranteed he was told what to do on the radio. Lasowski doing a terrific job here, holding off Sammy Swindell in that number 1.
Does this become a tire race at this point?
Well, Sammy spoke earlier they chose too hard of a tire for the qualifying race. I'm sure they stuck with that same hardness or went to even harder for this race because it is a longer race, and the tire's coming in and he's starting to work.
Look at this, Sammy gets him, and Lasowski is right on after him.
Sammy Swindell, like a bulldog, charges into corner number 3 and comes out on top, and Swindell opens up about a 6 or 7 car length lead over Danny Lasowski. At the beginning of this race, it didn't look like anyone would be able to come close to Lasowski.
But the racetrack's changing. Like we talked, it's starting to get rubber down. It's a complete different racetrack than what we had. If you watch, Sammy's actually pushing when he comes out of turn 4 right there. You can see it. He's actually picking up a push. That's because of the rubber. The track's getting sticky.
Randy Tyner in number 3. We're back in the back. Johnny Herrera in the 45. Oh, trouble. Freddie Raymer.
Fred Raymer spun.
Yep.
He was kind of fortunate there. He spun to the left, and usually when a sprint car, he's lucky that the track was as slick as it is, because when a sprint car spins to the left, usually the left rear wheel will dig in and you turn it over.
Oh, Rocky Hodges, I don't think he was prepared to see someone in the outside lane. Rocky was the only single car that went around the outside of Freddie Raymer as he was sitting there, but Rocky had cooled his jets. He was down to about a mere 50.
Here's the pass for the lead. Sammy, you can see right there, he's pushing. He's actually getting tighter, but that's good at this point in the race. He gets a good bite off of 2. You can see Danny's car getting a little sideways. He's getting a little bit looser, and Sammy gets by.
You know, it's a scary thought. This morning I saw his little son, 6-year-old Kevin, in the pits. He was playing with race cars. He was building a little racetrack. Sammy's kid a promoter? Think about it.
Back to green.
Sammy hangs on to that lead. Lasowski running in 2nd. Blaney is in 3rd position. Stevie Smith doing a good job hanging on to 4th.
The missing man, I was about to say, is Steve Kinser. There he is, lifting like a bucking bronco, those left front wheels. Dick, you mentioned that a little earlier. There's Steve Kinser on the left-hand side of your screen. He's only in 5th running position. Does not appear to have the steam to challenge for a winning posture this afternoon.
And a good race here between Jeff Shepard in the 39 and Steve Kent. And now Jeff Swindell has passed Steve Kent. Tight racing all the way back through the pack.
And that's Randy Tyner right behind Steve Kent. Tyner's one of the younger drivers in sprint car racing, showing a great deal of promise. Remember last year in this series, couldn't keep that car on its wheels, but had much better luck in 1993-94.
45 is Herrera. Lance Blevins behind him. This is Randy Tyner in the number 3 car.
And what a difference a week makes for Herrera. As we look back out of Herrera's car, there's Lance Blevins from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, right behind him. And there's Rocky Hodges also sticking his nose up there. Last week, Herrera was the man to beat. And this week, he's in
10th. Herrera running in 10th position. Lance Blevins, the 16-year-old, looking for the bottom. And he's got it. Trying to get by Rocky Hodges in that pink number 2.
5 laps to go in this one. Up front, it continues to be slamming Sammy Swindell. And running in 2nd position is Danny Lasowski. 3rd is Dave Blaney from Ohio. Pennsylvania, Stevie Smith is 4th. And Steve Kinzer is riding in 5th position. He'll not win this one, although he's had some miracle finishes.
See the smoke rolling off of Sammy's right rear tire there. I'm sure he knows how many laps to go, and he must feel good. That might be a hard tire like I spoke earlier, and just light it up right there. You can see the smoke rolling off of him.
Doing a nice job in traffic.
When a car gets tight, you have to keep the car loose, and you have to spin the right rear at times to keep the car from pushing, and that might be what Sammy's having to do right now.
And of course, no mirrors in sprint cars. Swindell probably has no idea how far ahead he is. He knows that Lasowski is close by.
Well, don't forget, they've got radios. We've got a white flag coming out for Sammy Swindell.
And Lasowski is as close as he's ever been, although there's lap traffic between him and the front-running Sammy Swindell. He'll not catch him. Here comes the leader, Sammy Swindell, looking for his first victory in this series this year, and Sammy Swindell wins it. 2nd place is close, but not quite close enough, as the first 6 cars are close enough to compete for the runner-up spot, but not enough to go after Sammy Swindell.
You said what a difference a week makes for Johnny Herrera. Boy, I'm sure Sammy's a lot happier this week than last week.
I bet he is too. Unofficially, the runner-up in this one was Danny Lasowski, although we think we got him as they crossed the line. Dave Blaney, fast qualifier, has to settle for 3rd position. Stevie Smith was 4th, and Steve Kinzer finishes in 5th. In 6th position was the number 4 car of Jeff Shepard. 7th was Jeff Swindell. 8th.
Working hard, and we've been trying to get this thing straightened out, and you know, it's definitely coming around. The car was, it's been better every week, and you know, I'd like to thank him and you know, the people from Geo that gave us the tracker to ride around in all this 3 months.
Proof that sprint car racing is hard work. A winded Sammy Swindell beats Danny Lasowski, Dave Blaney, Stevie Smith, and Steve Kinzer to the line. Jeff Shepard, great race. He was 6th. Then Jeff Swindell, Steve Kent, Randy Tyner finishes 9th, and Johnny Herrera comes home in 10th position. Lance Blevins was 11th, and Freddie Raymer was in 12th position.
You passed your audition, and what was it you wanted to prove?
I guess I want to prove I can still race. Like I said, I don't know. I want to thank Don Lamberti with Casey Journal Store, Gil Sonner for letting me drive his race car. He's got a really good race car. And Sammy just found the rubber before we did, and we just plain got beat.
Well, dude, I don't think there's any doubt. You are a racer.
Thank you very much.
Well, each week we also award the Snap-on Tools Mechanic of the Race Award, and this week we are singling out Jimmy Bell, who was the chief mechanic of that man you just talked to, Danny Lasowski. They've had a series of drivers, and they really prepared that car well for a new driver.
Him on the screen now in that number 1. He never gives up. Works at it and works at it.
One more race left in the desert of 1993-94 for Dick Bergman and Brad Doty and Ralph Shaheen down in the pits. This is Larry Nuber. We've had a new winner. Maybe we can close this series with yet one more new winner for 1993-94. The Sprint Car World Series, sponsored by SICK 50.